less about what you talk less about?
Soft skills is very big, you know.
All right, so the topic of the talk today will be soft skills for software development. And I want to point out as well that this is just a primer to kind of manage your expectations. There will actually be more things coming related to this. So the talk today will kind of be an introduction, a short overview of the things we're going to do later. And I want to keep it as interactive as possible to spark some conversation. So let's tackle the elephant in the room right away. What are soft skills? Kai, do you have any take on that?
Presentations, talking, stuff you don't pick up from textbooks. Just experience.
So when you say talking, are you thinking about anything in particular? Or?
Maybe interaction with clients, or maybe potential business things. Stuff that needs to be discussed, or maybe if you want to put it crudely, it could be politics as well.
Yeah, I think you're kind of on the right track there. So usually talk about this divide, and to define soft skills, usually it's easier to start by defining hard skills. So hard skills will be things that you need to know in order to perform your everyday work. So it can be things like tools, it can be things like knowing about certain areas, like your knowledge about DSLs or whatever. And the soft skills are anything that kind of falls outside of that frame. And a lot of it is about interaction, communication, collaboration, and leadership. Yeah, so there's usually a disconnect between the two. Getting better in one of them usually doesn't carry over to the other. So usually we'll see people excelling in either the hard skills, which are related to reasoning and intelligence, or they will excel in what's called the emotional intelligence, which is related to soft skills. You might sometimes refer to them as a people person. And you also have people that are kind of average in both. They're kind of balanced, but they don't really reach up there. So I want to do a quick self-assessment to know a little bit of how you see yourselves in preparation for the things that are coming next. So what I want you to do is just take Post-it notes and you write a number between 1 and 10. And you don't need to show it to anyone else. And then we'll show it at the same time. You need one. Self-assessment is you rate yourself from a scale on 1 to 10, how good you think your soft skills are.
10 is the best.
10 is the best.
It's on EQ, is it?
So you are not rating how good programmer you are, you're rating how good you are.
Can you give a scenario? Like
If you say 5 is average.
5 is
Average.
average.
Yeah. So anything under 5, you say I am slightly worse than the average person. Or
can you give a scenario?
Scenario? Okay. So I'll give you a worst related scenario now. your client comes to you and he is very upset and he's shouting a bit. He's kind of antagonizing you because something that was out of your control happened and now he wants to blame someone. So rate yourself how well you would handle that situation between 1 and 10. Is everyone done with rating themselves? Okay, let's all show our ratings at the same time.
What do you recommend? I thought it's four.
Oh, no, just use your
Yeah, you just need one. All right.
Whoa! Super!
I'll start giving a comment. I wrote 7. I actually put a lot of deliberate practice into this, but I still have a lot of things that I need to practice more. And sometimes the emotional response for me becomes a bit overwhelming, so I become paralyzed. So I need to work with that. Matthew?
Yeah, for me it's also the client gets riled up. There's also the emotional reflex that they have. So yeah, I need to work on that as well.
Okay, so you rated yourself a 6. Okay.
Well, for me, I don't really have that much experience with clients so far, but maybe if I take in context project work conflicts and all this kind of thing, then so far I can handle them quite well, but my only issue is similar to Matt, like if it becomes super riled up, I reflect the other person's emotion as well. So if he raises his voice, I have a tendency to raise my voice. So I think that's one part I need to calm down on. So maybe a 7.
Waymo?
For me, I think I would take it more like a logical approach, like try to analyze what's the way to handle issue. So I thought I would rate myself as a 6. So I don't intend to show more emotion because I will try to look at the logical side first.
Okay.
You always show emotions with clients because it's not professional. And when clients are talking, I'm always thinking about how can I talk in a way that they can understand as people who are not good at this technique. And this way I achieve my goal to let them understand what I'm going to do, and they also can have a expectation about what's is going to be.
Okay. Cameron?
I rate myself 6.
Mm-hmm.
Same issue like the emotional part. So if the client get angry already, then for me I feel it's very hard to think in a logical way, because once a person get angry, probably he or she might not think in a very rational way. Yeah.
Right. Kevin?
I did at 7. So I think like many of you said before, like how you become like you remove emotion from the equation, right? But I think that's only just one part. I can do that pretty well, but the other part is how you actually convince the person to actually simmer down. So that's the second thing that a lot of people can't do. I can't do that as well.
Yeah, and this is kind of the reflection I have when I listen to you. You're all very good at realizing, okay, I need to apply some soft skills, but then maybe there are some more concrete kind of tools to use that are missing. You know, like, okay, I need to do something to handle this situation. But as you said, Kai, it's kind of vague. You don't really know where to go next. Okay. And this is kind of something we will address in the follow-up to this. So there will be a lot of concrete strategies. Yeah. Sherwin?
I rate myself. Because I don't have the patience to make the plan.
So maybe you should have rated yourself higher, because humility is actually also a soft skill. Okay, Hannah? 5.5.
Reason being is that I don't, like, when I talk to people, I don't take it personally. I'm trying to see what is their point, and then see from my point as well, and then collect the data before I think, first of all, being a listener, that's part of it. They just wanted the solution at that point of time, but we are unable to give it at once, right? So as Black said, that we need to stand in a way that try to be on neutral ground or something. But I'm still learning on that because I'm still lack of knowledge on the software development side. So I can facilitate, but at the same time, can't help out much to handle the project sometimes. Yeah. So it's a learning point for me.
Okay. Yeah, very good. I got a very good idea of what kind of the pain points are and where people see themselves. So we're going to work out on that later. First, we'll go into discussion, why do we need it? So you might argue that, okay, as a software developer, it's enough that I can write good code. The better code I can write, the better I am at my job. And to some degree, I guess you can agree with it. It's a bit contextual, like what kind of company you're working in. If you're working in an enterprise with maybe 1,000 developers, you can kind of hide away somewhere and just write code. But I think in most line of work, and especially jobs that are kind of fulfilling and interesting, the soft skills become more and more important. So can you think of, say, a document where soft skills are emphasized, a document that we've been looking at earlier? Not today, but earlier, in earlier workshops. Can you think of a software engineering document that emphasizes soft skills? Almost. So the document I'm thinking about is the Agile Manifesto that we covered during our Agile workshop. So I'll give you just a quick refresher. The Agile Manifesto has 4 values. So they list things on the left that they value more, and things on the right which they have value, but they value them less. And the 2 that are kind of relevant today are these 2. In the Agile Manifesto, they outline that they value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And they value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And here you can quite clearly see the divide between the soft values, which are the one in bold, and the hard values, which are kind of the ones that they want to place less value in. So this kind of implies that to be successful in agile software engineering, you need to have some confidence in individuals and interactions and in customer collaboration. And these are all soft skills. So now we know why it's interesting for businesses. Now I just want to present some kind of incentives for the individual why they would be interested in learning this in the context of a career. So I gathered some recent quotes. I'm sure you've all read this article. Or it's an interview article with Laszlo Bock, that is the Vice Senior President of Google People Operations, who famously said that GPAs are worthless as a criteria for hiring. And what Google did is they took lots and lots of data from their recruitment, and they tried to find correlation between what makes an employee deliver value to Google. And it turned out that GPAs were not correlated at all. But things like learning capacity and learning motivation and emergent leadership are all things that are correlated, and they're all things that are soft values. And they're kind of hinting at some of the issues with expertise as well. That, being an expert, being that you max out your hard values, but if you miss the soft values, then the value of that is kind of wasted. The next one is a more recent one from the Washington Post. And this is in the context of emergent leadership, which is something that we'll look at later. And what they're saying is the traits that smart, innovative companies seek out in employees. And this is kind of a trend that we see, that the companies that attract the most talent, they are kind of shifting into this mindset of we want to hire people with the right soft skills, and we want to measure for that instead of the hard skills. And if you're not interested in an interesting job, but you want a well-paying job, then you can look at this quote that is actually only about 2 weeks old. It's never been more lucrative to be a math-loving people person. So this is a reaction to a study that was made at UCSA. And in this case, it's specifically relating to math skills. But math skill it's kind of notorious for being a hard skill. So what they did is they checked the median salary for people with math skills and social skills. And they checked it versus people that have none of these skills. And of course, there is a gap. People with math and social skills earn more than people without any of the skills. And that gap is growing. But more interestingly, they found that the gap between these people and people with only one of the skills is also increasing. So from being zero gap in 1990, there's now about 10%, I think, or 15, between people having only one of the skills and people possessing both of the skills. And this is kind of in line with the quotes that we looked at earlier. Like these highly revered companies are looking for more than only the hard skills. And soft skills are, of course, also life skills. Even though we're going to look at soft skills in the context of software development, it's impossible to not have it carry over into the rest of your life. Because you're going to need to communicate and collaborate and lead every day. Okay. So now I might have frightened a bunch of people who rank themselves kind of on the introvert side of the spectrum. But I think that soft skills are maybe even more relevant to introverts, because as an introvert myself, I know that what really drains you is interaction. And what you do when you practice soft skills is actually getting better at interaction, so interaction will get less and less draining as you learn these tools. Of course, it's also useful for extroverts to make them less obnoxious, but I'm sure they are not afraid of this talk. So, sign me up. How do I soft skills? Well, it turns out that soft skills are hard. And this is a pun. I don't actually mean that soft skills are hard skills. I just mean that it's kind of hard to learn because I think the view we all had, at least that I had of soft skills, were that there was something innate or inherent in a person that some people were just persons, and you kind of couldn't learn it. It was all unlearnable, and yeah. It turns out that that is not the case, and a lot of very smart people have already figured a lot of this stuff out and created a lot of useful tools, very concrete kind of frameworks for thinking, which are extremely useful. And I certainly want to point out that I am not one of those very smart people that figured all this out. I am only very fortunate because I've kind of placed myself in situations where I have been subjected to a lot of these ideas. I was a squad leader in the army part-time for about 6 years in Sweden. And they sent me to a lot of expensive courses where you learn a lot of these very useful ideas. And I also had a lot of opportunities to apply this. Before I started working as a developer, I was planning to so I had a lot of opportunities to kind of apply these ideas. Something that you may not know is I was actually also a coach for a local weightlifting team in my hometown. So we have quite a lot of Swedish champions and also one Nordic champion from there. And working with kind of 14-year-olds is probably the pinnacle of honing your soft skills. But I actually want to show you a picture as kind of a humble brag from one of our most successful lifters that won the Swedish Championships again just 2 days ago. So here's that. Yeah, and I have this kind of very diverse background in teaching, leading, instruction, and coaching, which kind of helped me a lot, I have to say. Because of my introversion, I used to have a lot of problems before. Yeah, but
You coached this?
yes. But at that time she was 14, now she's 18. She doesn't need me anymore.
Did you medit yourself? Did you do meditating yourself?
When I was 16, I think, until I was 17. So a very brief period. And actually the reason I didn't continue was that at that age life is kind of tumultuous, and that is exactly the challenge you face when you are training 14-year-olds. You're not only a coach, you have to be kind of everything else as well, because life is weird at that age. Okay, so now what? I told you during this time that there will be more things to come, that this is kind of a primer for. So with Gerald's blessing, I have been allowed to do some workshops. That will be a little bit of science, which is kind of these the theories that underlie these concrete ideas or tools that we will learn. And we will also do some exercises to kind of practice these ideas once we get them. And we will not cover a lot of like the internal stuff, like learning capacity and stuff like that. But we'll be covering the interpersonal things like communication and collaboration and emergent leadership. So we're going to do another self-assessment. And you can take the notes that you already had, and then you write on the back side, this is a yes or no question. Are you a leader? So you can write that down. Okay, is there anyone that's not done? No, then we can all show our notes at the same time. I like that one. Okay, so I think the purpose of this self-assessment is for me to get an idea of how you assess yourself, but it's also to kind of tackle the question of leadership. What is our individual idea of what leadership is?
I think we need to have a common understanding of what leadership is.
Yes, exactly. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to, if you wrote yes, you can give an example of a time where you showed leadership. And you can also say what your idea of leadership is. Whether you wrote yes or no doesn't matter. Is this what with Matthew?
I wrote no.
Okay.
Because I tend to be more of an independent person, and yeah, preference to do things on my own rather than lead a team to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if I need to lead a team,
mm-hmm.
I can do it. But it's more of a preference.
All right.
So my definition of leadership is like being able to guide a group in a certain direction. Mm-hmm. So while caring for the people that are under you in a certain sense. So personally, actually before army, since poly, army, all this, I've always taken up the leadership roles to train myself so that I can be a better person in general. So that's why I put yes. Yeah.
All right. Why not?
I'm making it because I think I'm more towards like doing things in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to like not try to lead someone to do something.
All right.
I wrote once
mm-hmm.
because I actually have a lot of leading experience. When I was back in China, I just graduated and got a job as an intern, and they sent me to another city for training, and it's a large group. It's and at that point, they somehow they assigned me as a team leader,
mm-hmm.
leader the development team, and I think they were. I think I did something on the course, and they were impressed. And then, some of people I know, so I can tell them to do what I want them to do. So and when we do the project, and I always try to let that individual make decision for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think it's very helpful for the project. And if I believe if I think they can do this with even though it's with a lot of challenge, I choose not to care and give a deadline or something like that. And another experience that on the basketball yard, because when I was not this have a normal weight, I'm always the best on the basketball court. So naturally, I was a leader of the basketball team, but because that's what I'm good at. Now it's just it's growing, and my body cannot allow me to do a lot of moves I could do easily in the past time. So I just choose to let other people do. I don't do that.
So that's twice. It's
Twice.
not once, it's twice.
And that's give me some ideas that if you want to be a leader, you have to be the best in the team. Maybe the hard skills or both hard skills and soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Then every time I choose the new environment, I always want to be in an environment that people around me are better than me, or I'm the average, so I've got room to step up.
All right. Herman?
I don't know, because I think I'm a good team player, but I'm not a good leader. Because
But this is not if you're a good leader, if you're a leader or not.
no, I'm not leader. But because I think leadership is more like or not, it's not. So it's like if you are the leader in a team, you need to make sure that you can discover people's potential. Like you can push these people further to achieve something that even he or she never think about it. I think this is a very critical part, and not a lot of people can do this. And if you can't do this, you can't say you are a leader, right? Leader is about lead people. It's not like prove yourself that you can lead people.
Kevin?
Okay, I wrote no, but then the long answer is depends, right? So I think they say regarding David's point of view and Kimball. So I think there's two types of leaders. One is the inspirational kind of leaders where you inspire ideas, you inspire people. And then the other type of leaders is actually the doing kind of leader. So you lead a team to achieve a goal. Right? I'm more of the second type of leader where I lead a team to achieve a goal. I can delegate tasks and management kind of thing. Whereas I'm less of the inspirational leader. The inspirational leader being the type that Kimball described. So you inspire people to be better, inspire them to do greater work.
Yeah. Okay. Sherwin?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I'm able to lead people because I'm too afraid of failing them. Something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think leader is someone that everybody follows by not by force, but by because people want to follow a person. And I don't think that I am that kind of person.
Okay. Anna?
It's not to comment, but like I can be inspirational. I can also be as a team leader. Like recently, for the last 6 months, there's more to a group session with the university classmates, right? Always they choose me to be a leader, but sometimes I just push them the leader role to them so that they have an understanding how to lead and not just depending on someone else able to do so. I rather just have a both situation that I don't need to be a leader or just as a team member. I mean, as experience-wise, I was, well, in a startup, right? Like, you are forced to just learn everything from scratch, even though you have a degree or have past experience. They just give you the job straight, and being from a just not experienced and within that 3 months capacity to lead 10 team members, like after still call center, managing role, it does help in realizing that what you're capable of, like pushing yourself on the comfort zone, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think an important point that we've been touched upon out here is that there are a lot of different types of leadership. Usually we limit our understanding of leadership to mean something like assigned leadership, where you've been given the authority to lead, or equate it with management. That is kind of the same thing. But I would also like to challenge your idea of leadership to mean a lot more things. We touched upon emergent leadership, which is kind of leadership that happens in the moment. So say, for example, that you have that angry client that comes and shouts. An example of emergent leadership would be David just saying, okay, handling the situation and saying we're going to deal with it like this, and everyone else will naturally just follow because. Yeah. And it's also a lot about stepping up and leading when appropriate, but also stepping back and letting others lead.
It could be as simple as not deciding where to go for lunch, and somebody just say,
yeah. So that could be an example of emergent leadership. Kai is hungry, so he writes, "Let's go for lunch" in chat.
Or lunch.
So I think if he would be assigned the title lunch leader, then he would more be like the assigned leadership as well. But I think also, like you say, Matt, you say I prefer to work on my own. So one thing that is good would be some sort of introspective, so like explore what the reasons are for that. But I don't see it as something that would stop you from being a leader, because doing things really well is usually a sort of leadership as well. Because other people will aspire to that and they will follow, hopefully. I was thinking also, among the work that you're doing now, who is leading the work? Rico? So who is the leading?
I'm very good at leading one-man team.
But you're also leading the client. Okay, so I actually planned to put in a sentence. It's quite a short one, and it's quite a cheesy one, but I think it's good at challenging the idea of what leadership means. And we will go more into details in the workshops, like the different theories of leadership, to give you kind of frameworks that help you think about leadership. And hopefully everyone will write yes eventually in the sticky plan. So. Can't have sound through Apple. Is it just? Oh.
How many of you are completely comfortable with yourselves? So I've asked that question all the way across the country, and everywhere I ask it, no matter where, there's always a huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I've come to realize it is something bigger than us. We made it into something beyond us. We made it about changing the world. And we've taken this title of leader and we treat it as if it's something that one day we're going to deserve. But to give it to ourselves right now means a level of arrogance or cockiness that we're not comfortable with. And I worry sometimes that we spend so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do, that we convince ourselves that those are the only things we're celebrating. And we start to devalue the things that we can do every day. We start to take moments where we truly are a leader, and we don't let ourselves take credit for it, and we don't let ourselves feel good about it. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I think has made me happy. I just want to share with you the one story that is probably most responsible for that redefinition. I went to a school on a little school called Mount Allison University in Saskatoon, New Brunswick. And in my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, I remember the first time that I met you. And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, on the day before I started university, I was in a hotel room with my mom and my dad. And I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day. And if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us, we'll take you home. We love you no matter what. And she said, so I went the next day, and I was standing in line getting ready for registration, and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she said, I made that decision, and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, we came out of the student union building wearing the stupidest hat I've ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And we had a big sign, Cone Shadowrun, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, chair that worked for 3 years. And we had a bucket full of lollipops. And we were walking over and we were handing the lollipops over to people back in line talking about Shadowrun. And all of a sudden, he got to me and he just stopped and he stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm about right now. And then he looked at the guy next to him and he smiled and he reached in your bucket, he pulled out a lollipop and he held it out to him. And he said, you need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you. And she said, I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life. He turned beet red. He wouldn't even look at me. He kind of held the lollipop out. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, he got this incredibly severe look on his face. And he looked at my mom and my dad and he said, look at that. Look at that. First day away from home, and already she's taking candy from a stranger. And she said everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this. But in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day. But I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life. And I'm going to miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flat. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, you should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later. A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. Here's the kicker, I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment, and I searched my memory banks because that is funny, and I should remember doing it, and I don't remember. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I've ever had on anyone's life, a moment that when I walked up to a stranger 4 years later and said, you've been an incredibly important person in my life, was a moment that I didn't even remember. How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? Right. How many of you told that person you did it? See, why not? We celebrate birthdays when all you have to do is not die for 365 days. Without knowing it. And every single one of you has been attached to the lollipop moment. You have made someone's life better by something that you said or that you did. And if you think you have it, think about all that means you didn't go back up when I asked that question. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told. But it is so scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. It can be frightening to think that we can matter that much to other people. Because as long as we make leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we make it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it every day from ourselves and from each other. Marianne Williamson said, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us. And my call to action today is that we need to get over that. We need to get over our fear of how extraordinarily powerful we can be in each other's lives. We need to get over it so we can move beyond it. And our little brothers and our little sisters, and whatever it takes, or it takes right now, to want to start to value the impact we can have on each other's lives with money and power and titles and influence. We need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many we create, How are we going to acknowledge? How are we going to pay forward? And how are we going to say thank you for? Because we can get leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you take one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful the agents of change they can be in this world, you change the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one. And I want to thank you all so much for your leadership.
All right, that was kind of intense and a little bit cheesy. And I don't think I will continue past that, so I'll just finish there and look forward to the first book. I'll try to keep some kind of continuity, so hopefully next Tuesday, but we'll see if I have enough time to prepare it.
That's Wednesday. That's Wednesday.
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday? It's like after Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.